Hello friends, and welcome to another figure study where we appreciate the form in Transformers, although this time it's actually the form in bootleg Transformers, because we are not looking at movie masterpiece Bumblebee, we are looking at the legendary toys LT01 Wasp, which is a knockoff movie masterpiece Bumblebee. It's an important distinction, because technically I'm pirating. Now, we could get into the moral dilemmas of buying a knockoff versus the official product. I'm not going to do that here. What I will say is, for me, while I do feel bad about not getting the official product, it was just kind of basic math. We have a figure here that is, by all accounts, as good as the original, but there's just more paint detail in robot mode, and it costs half as much, so I just couldn't pass that up. So think of me what you will. I totally understand if you have a problem with me getting a bootleg over the official product, but it was cheaper and just as good, if not arguably better. So that's where we're at. Anyway, Wasp. I will be upfront in saying I am not a fan of the more modern Camaro design. Not specifically the toy, I mean the car. It almost looks like they took a Mustang and just ripped all the features out of it, like took out all the important line work and stuff like that. It's not a particularly fun car shape, for me personally. That said, the toy, I do appreciate just how well they recreated the shape and contours of that particular model of Camaro. I don't know 100% how accurate it is, but just in a objective, mechanical sense, I think they did a good job representing a car here. Again, not a particular fan of this style of car, but I gotta give them credit for that. And the paint scheme is a typical, yellow and black. It's Bumblebee, because of course. This does have the same problem that the official and the other bootlegs have had, where some of the paint doesn't quite match. Looking at it under these lights, some of the plastic doesn't actually match, but it's hard to kind of tell. Like, this door is ever so slightly lighter, or it looks ever so slightly lighter than this panel here. The hood section looks ever so slightly lighter than these panels here. It might just be the lighting, I don't know. The more glaring stuff that's very obvious is some of the paint here doesn't quite match up. Like, this is totally not the right shade of yellow. And then on the top here, you can kind of see, like, all back here, that does not match either. And it's not a huge problem for me. I mean, it's noticeable in car mode, but it is absolutely not something that I notice in robot mode, so I don't really care, because this guy's gonna spend pretty much his entire life on the shelf in robot mode. But it is something worth pointing out. It is a problem, and it is a fairly consistent problem. As for the details and contours and whatnot themselves that I was talking about, they pulled off the shape well. Like I said, not a particular fan of the shape, but they did pull it off. There are some nice details in there with the different lights and the logos and the grille and all that. One thing that does kind of bum me out about this particular make, which I haven't really noticed this with the official one or the other knockoffs, I think it might just be Wasp, but the plastic that they use for the headlights, it's quite dark. So when you're looking at the car, it's hard to tell that there are headlights there. They are there. Like, when you get in close and the light hits them, you can tell, but they're kind of hard to see because they're so dark. I kind of wish that those had either been lighter plastic or had some, like, paint behind them or something to help them stand out. But there are some other nice details in there, like the fog lights, I guess, and the extra grille there. These stripes are pretty clean looking. And of course, have the Camaro logo and silver rims, which these I like because, as I've seen from the original, the paint on the original, it's like the rims are painted on the original, but they're much darker, so they kind of blend in with the shade of the tire, whereas these are a lighter kind of gunmetal, and that definitely stands out better, and I like that. You can kind of see, but it's hard to tell. There are molded brake pads in there, which is pretty cool. Just a nice little detail. There's the painted door handle, which I do appreciate. Just kind of helps that detail to stand out. And they put I can't quite tell if it's a sticker or paint. I think it's a sticker, but there's a little reflective bit there for the side mirror she has on both sides. There's the little the little radio antenna nubbin on the back, and also the front blinkers on the side there, and on the back, and the rear lights, and the rear logo, and the exhausts. Like, there's this. I can appreciate the technical aspects of this vehicle mode, even if I don't necessarily appreciate the vehicle mode itself. And I can also appreciate the fact that they painted in a license plate, right down to making it a California plate and even getting the colors. I'm pretty sure they got the colors and the design of the plate right. It's been a while since I've seen a California license plate, but from what I remember, that's pretty accurate. So yeah, it is a pretty nice, on a technical level, vehicle mode. It does have some mismatched paint here and there are seams all over the place, especially in the back here. But again, like, from what I've seen of the original, of the official Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee, this is a problem even there. I still think it would have been nice if they had, like, painted in here a little bit with the yellow to kind of hide those gaps a little better, but that is just how it goes, apparently. So for a quick comparison, here we have Movie Masterpiece Optimus Prime, and I still dealing with that. And as I said in the video for this guy, I've tried MGO's technique and it just doesn't work for me. I don't know if it's just something wrong with my figure in particular, or if I'm just doing it wrong somehow, even though he was very clear in his video, which I do appreciate. I just doesn't work for me, which is fine, because again, like Bumblebee, Prime is not going to spend most of his life in truck mode. But anyway, as I'm sure everyone's already seen, you can kind of see how they stack up there in terms of size. And I think it kind of works. I think if we're really going to be technical in, like, imagine tiny people sitting in either of these vehicles, I feel like Bumblebee might be a little too big, or Prime might be a little too small. Because I imagine how big someone needs to be to sit in here versus here, and the size doesn't quite match up to me. But I don't really care about scale, so that doesn't really matter. I'm just showing that stuff for you all in case you are interested. And of course, got to do our more standard size comparison stuff. Almost forgot to do that. Here he is with a Titans Return Deluxe, and with Samus. So yeah, he's a decent sized vehicle. Bigger than a Deluxe, I guess. Maybe around Voyager size, I don't quite know. You know, decently sized. Alright, so that does it for size comparisons. That does it for the vehicle. Oh, wait, actually, almost forgot. I did want to mention, normally I do take issue with clear windows, and I do kind of wish that these weren't clear, but as Ben pointed out from Ben's Collectibles, as he pointed out with the Wasp here, the plastic, glass, whatever you want to call it, like all the windows on Wasp here are a little bit smoky, and that slightly darker tinge makes the robot junk on the inside less overtly noticeable. I mean, it's still definitely there, but not to the extent that, like, it's super distracting. So I'm okay with that. I like that they did that. But yeah, so I think that's it for the vehicle mode. So let's do this robot mode thing. Here we have Wasp in his robot mode, and this is really nice. What's interesting is I was never really much of a fan of the movie Bumblebee design, at least not originally, but in Masterpiece toy form, this is actually really nice. In terms of the color, he of course has the yellow and black motif going, which, you know, of course he does. But what I really like about Wasp over the official Masterpiece, at least from what I've seen, is that the official Masterpiece is mostly like either black or really dark on the inner workings, with like a little bit of silver kind of calling certain things out. But Wasp, all of his inner workings are more of like a dark gunmetal, with certain extra bits called out in like a coppery bronze color. And that's a color scheme I really, really like. I was actually worried that originally when I saw the kind of early shots for this guy, I originally thought that this was going to be more of like silver, and I was a little worried because I feel like that's a little too bright, but this is actually a really nice balance. Like the darker gunmetal still lets the yellow, which is actually a little bit more of an orangey yellow than when compared to the original. The darker gunmetal, it still contrasts really nicely, but it's not as dark. And because it's not as dark, the yellow still sticks out very much, but you get to actually see a lot of the details and the texture in those more mechanical bits. And that ends up creating a very striking looking figure. And in terms of the silhouette, it's just very nicely proportioned, very, for the most part, heroic. I like that he's not particularly skinny or particularly bulky in any one area. I mean, I guess you could say his calves are a little bit dense, but there's a lot of car that gets packed into those calves. Yeah, he looks really nice. I'm not entirely sure how well it's all going to come across on camera, but just in person, you get to see like all these little bits of detail, and it's really, really good stuff. And as I said, it's weird. I was not a fan of the movie Bumblebee design in the movie, but I like the movie Bumblebee design as a toy, and I think part of that is because in the movie, everything is so freaking busy, you can't, like, just the camera work is so busy, you can't really get a good, solid look at Bumblebee unless he's peeing on somebody. Thank you, Michael Bay. But as a figure, you really get to drink in all the details, and it's a really, really nice design, all things considered. And all of the car detail is there with some added bits that have now been revealed, of course. Lots of added bits. I think we'll do the face first. So here we have the Bumblebee Face, which, as with the car, I don't like movie Bumblebee's face. It's a design that I'm just not a fan of. It looks like he's got just like a pacifier welded into his mouth. And he's got the big babyish blue eyes that just, I don't know. I don't like the design of his face. I will say, though, I very much appreciate the mechanical skill and expertise that... Hi, Astrid. She just wants to sit in my lap. Okay. Oh, nope. Back into the reviewing station she goes. All right. Eating the wings, that's not... As I was saying, I'm not a fan of the design of his face, but I do really appreciate the amount of work and detail that went into making this face in figure form. Stay back there. Stay back there. Okay, yeah, that's fine. I really do appreciate the amount of detail in this face. Like I said, I don't like the face, but I like the detail that went into it. There is, of course, all that nice kind of dark gunmetal in there, and you can make out a lot of nice little crevices and mechanical bits, and unlike the official one, he does not have light piping. His eyes are actually painted a very bright blue, and I actually like that better. I've said this before, I'm not huge into light piping in my figures, especially because most of my figures are displayed on a shelf that does not have any lighting, so I appreciate painted eyes more. But yeah, he's, you know, it's nice. I like that they painted the eyes, I just don't like his face. Fortunately, there is a workaround for this, which I'm going to try to do without screwing anything up, but I think I just did. Oh, no, did I? Oh my goodness. This is the first time since I've had this figure that I haven't popped his battle mask off when trying to do this. So yeah, you unclip this, you fold it back. I mean, I'm sure everyone watching this has seen a bunch of Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee videos at this point, but you pop that off and then you just kind of hinge this forward and then clip this back down. And there you have his battle mask face. And I like the battle mask face a lot better because he doesn't have those big, goofy baby eyes anymore. This looks more like someone who's ready to throw down. I mean, it's his battle mask, so of course, but I really do like this look a lot better. And just have that nice kind of silver paint for the sort of vents that are covering the eyes. And I'm not entirely sure how official this is or not, but I do like how this silver element here just kind of carries down into the visor there. That kind of it connects the top of the head to the battle mask quite nicely. And in terms of the rest of the details, I mean, all the details here are the same as the Movie Masterpiece figure from what I've been able to tell from looking at like videos and screenshots and pictures and stuff. But as I said, because this paint is lighter, it's still a nice metallic paint and it looks suitably mechanical and robotic, but you can make out these details a lot easier. And in some cases, it's actually got more paint and more painted details than the original. Like these little shoulder or collarbone things here have like these bits here that are painted that just add a little bit more, like when you're looking at them, it just adds a little bit more interest because now instead of just these yellow bars going out, there's like a little bit of black in there. The chest, of course, looks great. I actually do really like the car kind of folded in a little bit to just add some dynamic shape to the chest, so it's not just a straight up front of a car. And then just lots of little mechanical bits, which again, the same as the original, but with these added like coppery, bronzy colors painted in there that really make everything else stand out. Even on the inside of the leg, you got some details there, and on the outside, you can see like, it's hard to tell, but there's actually like the springs have been painted. These bits here, like right here, the little toe thing has even been painted a little bit. Even like bits on the heel. There's just a lot of little coppery details, like this little wire here in the forearm. I'm really, really liking all the detail that they called out with a little extra paint. The mechanical bits on the insides of the wings there. And these underarm bits too. In the original, these are just like regular plastic, but here they actually painted the chain and gears and like this little thing. It just adds some very cool, just like little textural detail to the figure. And he does look very cool with his battle mask down. I am a fan of that. And I did take out the blaster, which can be pegged. Find the peg. There's the peg. Can be pegged onto his back. And, you know, it's out of the way. You don't really notice it that much. But can attach it to his fist, which I'll do right now. There we go. And it can be attached to either fist. I just put it on his right because I am a righty. And it looks good. I really like the way it integrates. It looks like it's part of his arm. That's just a really nice touch. It does still have that unfortunate seam that the official Movie Masterpiece has, but it still looks really good. And yeah, I know I didn't show it on camera, but the reason I didn't show it on camera is because there are a bunch of videos of Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee right now, and you don't need me going over that, you know, it's just retreading a bunch of territory that I'm sure everyone watching this is already familiar with. So, nuts to that. Yeah, Wasp looks really, really good. I really do just like this figure, and I really am into these wings on the back. The fact that he has this, like, kind of double wing effect. There's even this added detail here that kind of gives him a little bit of a spine. It's just a very nice figure. And as everybody does, I super appreciate how most of the car tucks into his chest. It's still a little bit see-through if you're looking at him from the side, but, you know, you're probably not going to be looking at him from the side that much. Alright, let's do some size comparison, shall we? And here we... everyone gets... everyone who's not Wasp is actually kind of on the tall side. So, here we have Wasp with the other, what I would consider Movie Masterpiece figures that I have so far. And yeah, I know the only official Movie Masterpiece that I have is Prime, but Hunt for the Decepticons Starscream is pretty darn close. I'm fairly certain if we get a movie masterpiece of him, it's going to use that mold and then kind of adapt it. And Wei Zhang's Detective, the oversized, slightly re-engineered Hound, is the closest thing we've got to a movie masterpiece Hound right now. So, yeah. Here we have our movie bots, or my movie bots, I should say, and he definitely fits in. He looks really good. I really, really like how he looks standing next to everybody. Boy, I am just such a professional. I completely forgot to do a size comparison with our Titans Return Deluxe and Samus. So there's Wasp with Samus and Chrome Dome, so you can see how big he is in a more general sense. Alright, I do believe that is going to do it. That is Legendary Toys LT01 Wasp, and it's... yeah, I know, it's a knockoff, bootleg, whatever, but I couldn't argue with the fact that it was the same quality figure, twice the paint at half the price. It's math I could not ignore. Think of me what you will. If that bothers you, I completely understand. If you would rather get the official movie masterpiece and not this guy because he's a knockoff, I completely understand. But as far as I'm concerned, from just like a general looking at it as a figure standpoint, it's really nice quality. There's only a couple of things that are a little bit problematic with this guy, namely, some of the joints are almost too tight, especially the head, although it started loosening up now that I've been like messing around with it a bit more. I've had him for a couple of weeks at this point. And then this bit here, which I probably should have mentioned earlier, this is very easy to knock out of place, especially when posing the head. And it's better than it was. I went in with Emgo's trick, which was tightening a screw on the inside of this chest panel here, and that definitely helped. But it's still really easy to knock that out of place. But it'll stay in place once you get it in there. So it's not a huge problem. But anyway, yeah, it's just overall, the quality is there. The detailing and the paint is definitely there. I super am into the look of this guy. I really do I like the look regardless, but this, like Wasp in particular, I like the fact that that darker gunmetal-y color makes it much easier to make out all those little details. It's really nice. But again, you know, it's your money, do with it what you will. If you don't have a problem with the KO thing, then I would definitely recommend this guy. And if you do have a problem with the KO thing, that's totally understandable. They do have the official movie masterpiece Bumblebee, which I'm sure is just as good as this. It's just, you know, paint's a little different. But anyway, that's going to do it. That has been my look at the Legendary Toys LT01 Wasp. Thank you everybody for watching. As per usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Any combination of those three would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art, even questionable bootleggy art, is more than meets the eye.